When the movie Jaws first opened, it created a sensation. And shark sightings increased by the thousands in all the vast and unknown depths of the ocean. How could there have been only one? Once, there was a terrible tragedy here. But today, Amity has a new hotel and the promise of a perfect summer. Now, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, the legend continues.
Harry! Chief Brody, can we go, please?
I think we may have another shark problem. Are you serious?
Roy Scheider.
The homies was incredible.
Lorraine Gary. And Murray Hamilton.
Look at this. That's a shark. Look, Brody, you started a panic on a public beach. Now, what if somebody decides to sue us? That's a shark. Did you ever stop to think about that?
And I know what a shark looks like because I've seen one up close. You better do something about this one because I don't intend to go through that hell again.
Don't press it this time.
Mike is out there. Over there! Oh, God, Eddie, swim! All I know is a boy is dead and my son and husband is still out there. Get me out! Get me out of the water! Yes! Watch out!
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws. The all-new Jaws 2. See it before you go back in the water.
Dearest mother, me again. I bet you thought this year you wouldn't hear from your old son Mikey in the month of JAWGUST. Well, guess again, Toots. You know how you love my big brother so much? He's the original, and you always go on and on of how great he is and how quotable he is and how much of a classic he is, and just nothing can ever match him. And then the second son comes along and it's just not as good. You don't love him as much. You don't think about him as much. You don't listen to him or look at him or send him Christmas cards or listen to his podcast or quote him or respect him or notice him. I've lost track of what I'm talking about. But basically, everybody knows that the original is always the best. And these money grabs for sequels, while entertaining at moments, mostly are just mindless drivel. But everyone loves the older brother, right? Oh, I mean, the original movie. Right. Anyway, Mother, if that is your name, I just wanted to let you know that I'm doing well. Okay? Doing well. So I would appreciate it if you at least listened to this episode. And, I don't know, maybe check in once in a while. Give me a wellness check, maybe a call. That'd be great. I don't know if you can sense the sarcasm in my typing, but it's there. Anyway, Viva la Jaws, the original. Love, always, your son Michael, August 1st, 2021.
JAWGUST, this is JAWGUST. Am I really doing this again? Sorry, no I am not. Only one day this year and it ends. Jaws is a movie that is so great, but the sequels suck and there's just no debate. So JAWGUST, one special JAWGUST, where I will talk about Jaws 2, and then I'll leave you until Jaws 3 next year.
The trick to a podcast looking like it's really in depth is to have it be really long. And one trick to doing that is to not actually starting the show until it's almost 9 minutes into what you've been listening to. So for 9 minutes, you've been waiting, anticipating for me to open my mouth and talk about JAWGUST 2021. I have to be honest, I can't believe it either. August kind of snuck up on me this year. I woke up today and said, wait, today's August? Oh my goodness gracious. That means it's once again JAWGUST. But, people, there is no chance in hell I'm watching this movie 31 times in a row. And I say that with peace and love as I tell you that this movie is excellent when you compare it to Jaws 3 and Jaws the Revenge. And if I watched this one for 31 days in a row, the psycho in me would make myself watch Jaws 3 and Jaws 4 for 31 days in a row for the next couple of years, and I ain't doing that. But this isn't Margie McFly, where I'm going to watch something that I truly love. Even the sequels, even though the sequels aren't great, I truly love the stories and the characters of Back to the Future. Where JAWGUST and Jaws, I love the original Jaws. Who doesn't? But it's just like, okay, let's follow the Brody kids as they change actors, as they get older, as they die, as they, nope, no, thank you. Let's follow Mrs. Brody. Nope, no, thank you. But people, if you stick around for another 365 days, we will, of course, be returning for another JAWGUST. But these are simply going to be one-offs. There is no chance in hell that I'm watching these movies 31 days in a row. I love Jaws, and watching and doing that took so much out of me. I love Back to the Future, and that one was like, oh my God, so much, like it was like work. And those are for movies that I'm passionate about. I can't do it for Jaws 2. But today is August 1st, and I'm determined to at least give you a JAWGUST 1st. So today, this evening actually, I watched Jaws 2 all the way through for the first time in, I want to say, decades. I remember Jaws 2. I remember at one point putting it on one night when it was on Netflix and being like, what the hell is going on here? There's a hotel? I don't remember this. Here's my memory of Jaws 2 as a kid. Actually, as a kid, I feel like this is going to be like blasphemous, but I think I watched Jaws 2 more than I saw the original Jaws. Maybe because it was on TV a lot and it had the teenagers and the kids in it and it kind of like connected with me. I don't know. Maybe I was a stupid child. I'm not sure. But as a kid, I don't think I knew the Jaws sequels were bad. I just was like, ooh, another Jaws movie. Like, oh my goodness. Like, okay, a year from now, we're going to be talking about goddamn Cindy and Sandy, two dolphins. That when I was a kid, I thought was cool. Again, there's a reason why those, I joke about my mother liking my brother better, but I mean, if I were to tell you that I thought Cindy and Sandy from Jaws 3 were cool, I mean, I would like my brother better too. But Jaws 2 was it's just one of these movies that there were moments in it that stuck with me as a kid that I was like, wow, I think I remember so much about this movie just from growing up. Like the water skier, the body of the woman that Brody finds, the burnt up body, that is like, I'm like, I remember being frightened by that as a kid. The School of Bluefish, Brody, yelling from the tower. And of course the kids on the sailboats and the open up, say ah. Now look, the original Jaws was made for a budget of $9 million. And it made $472 million. That's what on Wikipedia. I'm not sure if that is, box office including, it being re-released. It looks like it's definitely including re-release. I'm guessing. Across all of its releases, Jaws has grossed $472 million. And I'm not sure if that is even including release special filmings that still happen, the special screenings that still happen. But of course, there was going to be a sequel talked about. Like, of course, this is the time where all of a sudden now summer blockbusters are a thing. Star Wars is now in the world. This is 1978, which is funny because I always kind of thought, oh, this is Jaws 2 is like their answer to the slasher movie. But it's kind of before. This is before Friday the 13th. This is before, Freddy Krueger. This is months before the original Halloween comes out. So I'm not quite right. I always kind of thought that's what it was. And yeah, I kind of stand corrected. Though that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Teens in peril. That was always my focus of what I thought Jaws 2 was. Oh, that's the one with all the kids on the boats. And as it is, it's not a big part of this movie. A lot of it is kind of retreading stuff. There are certain things in this movie where I enjoyed, and I didn't think I would. I'm trying to look at it like this. I'm trying to look at it two ways. Number one, okay, they're going to make a sequel to a classic movie, a perfect movie. How are you going to do that? Now, you do get Carl Gottlieb back. You get some of the cast back. But how are you going to make a movie sequel to something so beloved, so classic? And they kind of did the best they could, I feel like. Like Jaws 3 and Jaws the Revenge are pure shit. Right? They're just ridiculous and they're poorly done. This wasn't good. It wasn't great. It wasn't good. But it was a serviceable, if you're going to make a sequel, it seems like a good movie that like kids who were like 13, 14, 15 when the original Jaws came out, now they're seeing Jaws 2 come out. These kids must have gone bonkers, must have gone apeshit, must have loved this movie because now, instead of seeing three old dudes fight a shark, now, as far as they're concerned, they're seeing kids their age fighting sharks. So this must have been like there must have been moments where I'm like, the audience freaked out with this. The audience went nuts with this. I mean, the movie was a hit. It wasn't the jaw-dropping, ridiculous Jaws original, but on a budget of, this is, again, according to Wikipedia, on a budget of $30 million, it made over $200 million. That's in 1978. That's a huge, huge return. So obviously they figured out there's going to be other movies coming. It says Jaws 2 was the most expensive film Universal had produced at this point, but it was also the biggest movie of their summer. And I think I read that the director Genoa Zwark ended up getting to do the movie Somewhere in Time, and he got that. He was able to do that because they owed him a favor, or because Jaws 2 did so well that he kind of he was given that. Dude's still alive. I actually just talked about him recently on another Geek Mentality episode because he directed Supergirl, which was worse than Jaws 2. I'll say that. In 2003, this guy went on and he was a Smallville director. Okay, maybe this guy isn't all that bad. This French director. But this movie was, it was given the unenviable task of following up a classic. And it did okay with it. It did add its own uniqueness to it, but there was just stuff like, why in the first place? Okay, you got to go with why. Why? I don't know, because it's the ocean and there's going to be more sharks out there. Okay, there's your answer. And maybe there's something in the Amity water, the temperature, there's something unique about it that draws these sharks. That was never said, but that would have been nice to hear, to just kind of give some dumb explanation to why a giant, monstrous, great white is coming all of a sudden to this small village, this small fishing village in, Amity, Florida. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. But there was no reason for that. It was just like, a shark's back. And the shark just kind of showed up. And as I said, Florida, because this movie wasn't shot on location in Martha's Vineyard. There were things shot on Martha's Vineyard, but a lot of it was shot in Florida. And I feel like you could see those white sandy beaches, and I'm like, those are a little too white and sandy if you catch my drift. But Jaws 2, like right away it opens up and there's two divers underwater. I'm trying to remember. I just watched it. I'm trying to go through it in my head, and they come across the orca, and there were things that I liked. Now John Williams is back doing the music. Oh, and I'm tired. And once they show the orca for the first time, the music goes into the na, 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 and I was like, it felt like a warm blanket you were putting on, like, oh, there's my old friend the orca. And these two divers, just kind of, adventurers, were taking photos and posing in front of the orca. Now, that makes me think that they know that the orca is a big deal. And that makes me think that, the shark that made it on the news that Peter Benchley talked about when he was the newscaster, that made it on the news, that Brody ended up killing him and Hooper. Brody. But it was Hooper's tank. You'd think that would be big, huge news, and everyone would know about the fact that Amity had to deal with a shark, right? We'll stick with that. So obviously that makes sense with these two guys. Like, wow, we found the orca. This is where it was. And then, boom, another shark just shows up and eats them. And that's it. The shark just shows up. So from there, they're like, oh, there's a boat off the shore. Like, oh, we can't find anything. But there's this camera. And we're thinking, oh, you got to develop those pictures. It's not a digital camera. It's 1978. We got to wait till the film develops. While that is going on, there is we see Brody. Hey, Brody, how you doing? Now, 2 years. No, they say, I'm sorry. He says 4 years. So 1975, we'll say. 76, 77, 78. Okay. I guess the older son could be this old. But he's a teenager now. He's an older kid, new actor. New actors on both kids. He's a teenager. He's got teenager friends, and they like to do teenager things. And what do you like to do in Amity as a teenager? You go sailing. We going sailing on my sailboat with my sailboat friends. Sailing with my sailboat friends, and the summer never ends. And you got like all the kids, all the genre of kids. You got the funny, like, chubby kid with the big hair. You got the nerdy kid. You got the kid who is just like kind of like nerdy, but also very confident kid. You got the kids are a little more like jock. You got the Larry Vaughn Jr. who's there. Though in the trailer, he's like, "This wave to my dad," and they made it look like it was you were waving to Brody. That made it look like that was Mike Brody. It was not. But you basically got these kids who go sailing, and at the same time, they nothing happens now. They go sailing, they have fun, they come and they go. But then we get the woman going water skiing, right? Very famous Jaws 2 scene, the water skier and the shark chasing the water skier. Now, here's what I don't like about this movie. All of a sudden, the shark just loves showing his fin. This shark, the other shark would be under the water 90% of the time, come up to kill you. Maybe be pulled up by, maybe get close to the edge here and there. I think we got like the fin, very, very few and far between. In this shark, he's like, I'm going to show you my fin, and I'm going to show you that I'm coming, because when I swim after you, I always swim right at the edge of the water so I can swallow you up. And he chases down the water skier, rips her down, eats her, and then this is where it gets silly. The woman on the boat, she brings the boat around. She's like, where are you? Are you okay, water skier girl? And the shark smashes into the boat, and she's got a gas tank, and she wants to pour it on the shark, I guess, to light the shark on fire. I don't know. Oh, because she had a flare gun. That's a great idea. But instead she goes, whoops, and she pours the gasoline all over herself. And she's like, I'm still going to light the flare gun, just in case. Boom, lights it. The whole thing explodes. There's an old lady on the beach. There's a couple kids on the beach. They're like, oh, my God, what was that? They call Brody. And Brody's like, what are they doing out there? And he's looking out the water. He's like, I wonder. Brody is thinking that there's a shark. He always thinks there is a shark out there. I think, I forget what they said. Like there might have been something that made him think there was a shark in the first place. But like they make him seem like he is obsessed with sharks. Then we get a whale wash up on the shore. That's right. We get a whale. Now, when I was a kid, I remember this. I was like, oh my God, I remember the whale. There's another thing that stood out. And I remember how cool it looked. Now I'm looking at it and go, I think that just looks like red foam inside the whale. I don't know what we're looking at here. But it's got teeth marks on it. Then this woman shows up, and she's, I guess she's a marine biologist. And I wanted her name to be Maddie. I'm Maddie Hooper. Matt sent me. That would have been like, that would have been awful. But it almost seems like, you feel like you've seen that in kind of sequels. And I thought she was going to be like, oh, she's going to be the scientist person in this one. No, she's in one scene, really, and she's gone. And Brody's like, we need to check the bite radius. And she's like, bite radius? Like, she didn't know what was going on. And this is the moment where Brody's like, it could be a shark. She's like, a shark? Really? Like, around here? Lady, you're in the middle of Shark City. I mean, come on. Everybody knows that Amity had a shark problem a couple of years ago. Everybody knows it was a goddamn great white that Brody took down. And this woman's like, what are you talking about? That's preposterous. There ain't no shark in these waters. So Brody's concerned it's a shark. He goes to Larry Vaughn. Oh yeah, there's also this hotel scene. They have a Holiday Inn with the nicest pool I've ever seen at a Holiday Inn. It's in Amity. And I'm guessing there are investors there that they're worried about. They're trying to talk into investing. I don't know. But there are these town people. And we see a lot of the same town people. In fact, we see the very tan lady who's like, I don't think that's funny. I don't think that's funny at all. She's back. We see Bad Hat Harry. We see the guy who's putting on his suntan lotion and gets trampled in the ocean. We see all our favorites. Well, actually, we see them. And Larry Vaughn's back. But he's we see he's actually the first person at the beginning. They have this whole like ribbon cutting ceremony, and he's talking about how great Amity is and how great we're doing. And when Brody tells him about the shark, he's like, you got to be shitting me. He didn't say it that way, but he's like, you got to be kidding me. You can't be serious. And he's like, let's calm down. No one's seen anything yet. No one knows anything yet. So let's just keep it under wraps again. The fact that Mayor Vaughn still has a job in Amity tells me that Amity might be filled with a bunch of half-wits. Okay? How many people did Mayor Vaughn allow to die before he finally spent $10,000 on a fisherman who also died? And then, 4 years later, he's still the mayor. Now, they don't even have, Jaws 3 isn't even in Amity. And like, by the time Jaws 4 comes around, it's like 9 years later. So I don't even know if Murray Hamlin's alive. But I wonder if they even talk about who the mayor is at that point, if they mention Mayor Vaughn. I have no idea. But through the power of editing, I just looked, and he was approached to be the mayor in Jaws the Revenge, but he died that same in 1986. He died in 1986 at only 63. My goodness gracious. People just looked older then. They just did. So I'm trying to remember everything that's happening here in this Jaws 2 movie that I watched once and will not be returning to tomorrow or ever again. Well, you never say never. So Brody's convinced now that there might be a shark problem because of the whale, but that's not enough to go on, is it? And then one day he's walking along the waters and he sees this wood. And he gets close to wood. And this is, I remember, scared me. And it must have, I'm picturing kids in the 70s at drive-ins or the movie theater just freaking out when he picks the wood up and there's a corpse over it. But also what they did, which I didn't like, is while Brody was walking into the water, we heard the Jaws theme. And I feel like if you hear the Jaws theme, the shark better be there. That is like setting you up for the shark can be there without the Jaws theme, but I feel like the theme can't be there without the shark. That's just me thinking. But we have the burnt up woman, and he's got to deal with that. And now he's like, he's worried. He's worried there's something going on out there. He's worried about this. So he is now hanging out in a tower. And Mayor Vaughn and this other dude who's new here, who's some kind of selectman, they don't like it. They're like, oh my God, what's he doing up there? Son of a bitch. And this is when I think and Ellen works for him and shows, something to do with the town. I don't know. It was never really defined. And he, so Brody's up in the tower and they're showing off, how nice the town beaches, and Brody sees this shadow off in the distance. Again, this is another thing that I remembered so much as a kid. He sees the shadow off in the distance and he freaks out. He thinks it's moving. It is moving. So he rings the bell in the tower, runs down the tower. He's like, get out of the water, get out of the water. But here's where things get crazy. He's firing bullets into the ocean. Now, everyone is out, I think. But what if someone's just like underwater with a little scuba or a little snorkel? They're going to be dead, and Chief Brody's going to be, arrested for a manslaughter. Now, no one was in there. I forgot to mention that earlier we got Chief Brody like going full psycho. He's in his office and he's taking his bullets and he's dipping. He's putting cyanide on the bullets and then using a candle to cover it with wax, so like he can take the shark out with his own gun. Hendricks is back and he sees him kind of like, what's going on here? And while that's going on, he goes home and he hides the bullets. And Mike's like, I want to go sailing, Dad. And you can't go sailing, Mike. I don't want you to. Well, guess what? Mike doesn't listen. You know why? Because when cute girls are involved, it's worth almost getting eaten by a shark. So all these kids go off sailing. When they go off sailing, they wave to a bunch of fishermen, a bunch of divers, like, hi guys, you going diving? We're going diving for lobsters. They dive in for lobsters that are like these special lobsters are only in Florida because, of course, they were filming in Florida. And, people don't know that back then probably, or they just lack of preparation or continuity or quality. So these guys dive under the water and then the shark is like, I'm here. And one guy's like, whoa, and he goes up really fast, kind of gets the bends. He's bleeding, but he's not bit. And, Brody, I forgot to tell you, after Brody went cuckoo bananas, he got the photographs developed from the original divers. And you can see the shark's eyes. It's black eyes, like a doll's eyes. And it's not a great photo, but it's enough where he sees what is real, but if you're not looking for it, you might not see it. This is almost like the story of a man gone mad because of what he went through, and everyone thinks he's mad, except it's right, and he's right. So, okay, guess what? He gets fired. He gets fired because of what he did on the beach. And I have to say, if you were just looking at it that alone, running down on a beach and firing wildly into the ocean, that might be grounds for dismissal. So he's out, and Hendricks is in as the chief, and Brody just wants to get a little drunk because he's not happy with everything that went on, but he doesn't blame Hendricks. So next day, Mike leaves to go sailing. He sneaks out, and Sean's like, take me with you. I'm not British, but I started talking like this. So Sean's a little older, but he's the youngest kid. He's like, take me with you. He's like, fine, you can come with me. I'm like, you don't take the kid with you, you son of a bee. But they do. They sneak out. So they think that Mike is off doing his job because they got him a job painting stuff on the beach, doing maintenance. And they just assume Sean is off playing and frolicking because they're not quality parents all the time. I guess they're great in the first movie, but in this one, well, I don't know. He's around. He'll probably be fine. But they actually have someone helping because Ellen works now. So she stays behind. Never calls and said, I still haven't found Sean. Any idea where he could be? Also, did they even try to make the Brody house look like the original Brody house? It felt different. I mean, it was different, but I feel like maybe it was just different angles. I don't know. So all the kids go off, and we're like, Brody's like, I'm convinced now more than ever that there's a shark. He goes into town, and he sees the guys that were diving, the guy who had the bends. They bring him in by ambulance, and he's like, what's going on? He's like, he must have saw something scary out there. And, oh my goodness gracious, I'm sorry. And Brody's like, no chance I'm doing that. And he goes to Hendrix, what's going on? He goes, oh, it's a couple kids sailing out there. He's like, who? Oh, Robbie, Boppy, Mickey, and Mike. And he says, Mike. He's like, Mike's out there? He's like, yeah. He's like, let's go out there. So he takes Hendrix. He starts taking the boat. He's like, Chief, you're not the chief anymore. I like that he still calls him Chief. He goes, I can't let you take this. And he's not paying attention. Ellen's with him. They're not paying attention. They're taking the boat out there. And he calls a helicopter. And he's like, we need to get Amity Air Patrol over there. We're looking for a bunch of sailboats out there. So he says to Hendrix, point the way. Hendrix is like, fine, I'll go with you. They go out there. Now, while they're out there, all the teens are out there. Two of the teens, they're the same two that saw the explosion. They're just like, they stop for a minute. They're like, let's just dock here and, make sweet love. And she's like, all right, get the blanket out because I don't want to get bruises on my butt and my knees. And he's like, blanket? And he stands up and boom, the shark hits, knocks the actor into the water. And I looked it up. This actor actually is no longer with us in real life, unfortunately. But he also is eaten. He's eaten. And he's got this girlfriend who freaks out. She's like going into a panic. Later, Brody finds their boat, and he's looking on, and he sees the girl underneath. She's like, he's like, what's going on? She's like, shark. And he's like, oh shit, I knew it. He calls another boat over, and he tells Ellen, Hendrix, you're taking her. They're going to take you back to shore. And that's the last time we see them. Then Brody heads off to find them because they're supposed to be at this lighthouse, but they're not at the lighthouse because they're like, let's go past the lighthouse. I know a cool spot where we can get some beer, or I forget. I don't know if they were going to the lighthouse to get beer. It doesn't matter. It's a bunch of kids on sailboats, getting into trouble. But instead of a psychotic killer, we have a man-eating shark. And again, this is kind of before the slasher movies that I was comparing it to in my mind, which is fascinating to me. I wonder if they took a page out of it and thought, instead of a shark, let's put a guy in a hockey mask. Or let's have his mother first, then have him in a paper bag, then a hockey mask. That's the plan. Then we'll have Corey Feldman kill him, and that'll be the end of it. I'm rambling. It is 11:15 on JAWGUST 1st, and I still have to get this up before the end of JAWGUST 1st, because otherwise, what are we doing here? So Brody is like, oh God, they're not here. I need to keep finding them. Then he gets a call from the helicopter. I found them. They're over here. And Brody's like, oh, thank goodness. So the helicopter lands, and I forgot. The shark shows up, knocks these boats over. Sean Brody, the kid, is with one woman. She saves Sean, but she gets eaten. I think those are the only two that get eaten. And then Sean is freaking out. He's on this boat, like holding on upside down for dear life. The kids are yelling at him. He's like, give me a rope. Give me a rope. He throws the rope over, and they pull Sean over. And then the friend starts hugging him and kissing him. He's like, but I lost you. I was like, whoa. You are like an 18-year-old friend okay, I guess it's emotional, but he was a little too excited to be a little too hands-on with him. Sean should have been like, dude, I'm fine. But at the same time, Sean's been through a lot. And it was kind of not great acting when the girl got eaten right in front of him and he went, no. Yeah, it wasn't great. So then Brody, the helicopter shows up. It's like, I'm here. They're like, thank God. He's like, take this rope. I'm going to tow you guys over here and then we'll get a boat for you. Awesome. Perfect. So he takes the rope, turns the helicopter around. He's like, here we go. And then out of the corner, we see the shark go, yowza, jump up, grab the helicopter, pull it under. And that's the end of the helicopter. Yes. Sharks hate aircraft. We learn that in these movies. This is the first time we see it. Actually, I guess, no, that was, those weren't planes back in the Indianapolis. That was a boat, a vessel. They delivered the bomb. Anyway, where was I? So they're like, oh crap, we're not going to make it. So now the helicopter's gone. They're like, let's just kind of float and hopefully we can get there. And they're trying to paddle, but they're like, we don't want to paddle too much because there's a shark in there. And then Brody's like, hey, yo, what's up, kids? I'm here. Like, oh, thank God, Chief Brody. And then the shark shows up. Oh, I'm sorry. At one point, Michael bumps his head. Okay. He bumps his head. He's okay. So two kids are like, we can sail. They want to take him back to shore. They run into Brody and now Michael's doing better. He's like, I'm okay. And he goes, Sean's out there. And this was the worst line in the whole movie. Michael says, Sean's out there. Brody's like, what? And Michael goes, it's okay, isn't it? No, it's not okay, you stupid asshole. You just took your little kid, your little brother, who you weren't supposed to be out there. You took your little brother out there, and there's a freaking shark out there, and you left him. Why didn't Sean just say, let's put his brother with him? No, that's not okay. Okay? That's what he's like. He's not worried about his brother. He's worried about getting in trouble. It's like, it's okay, isn't it? Like, I wanted Brody to slap him across the face and say, what do you think? Now get back to shore. And then Brody takes off, leaves the kids behind, leaves those kids to go sail off, and Michael's going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. He shows up now to the remaining kids and his son. He's like, hi, guys. And then the shark, I also forgot to mention, I keep forgetting this. When Michael bumped his head, he was in the water, and they just pull him out in time where we get the shark just really jumping out of the water. Again, in a movie theater in 1978, they must have went bonkers when this shot happened. But if you look at it, it's awful. The shark, the shark's mouth, it's like gets smushed because it's smushing up against the boat. It like looks deformed. It just looks like it's like too angular. And then you can actually see the hydraulics inside the mouth. But if you're seeing that for the first time, you're not even paying attention to that. Okay, now Brody's with the kids, and now the shark shows up, bumping and grinding and causing trouble. And Brody's like, "Oh man!" He drives the boat right into the rocks. He's like, "Let me get this raft out," and he goes, "I'm gonna pull you guys over here," and he catches on an electrical wire, a cable. Now there was foreshadowing earlier in this when Hendrix was out looking for the water skier. He and this other guy found the electrical cable. They're like, we don't want to mess with that. That's, we don't want to lose electricity for the whole town. So we know there's cables that bring electricity to the island. Okay. Another foreshadowing is when they were talking, when Brody was talking to the woman by the whale, he's like, I know they're attracted by blood. And she said, and sound. He's like, oh, really? And there's your another foreshadowing, because now Brody gets in this little raft, and this cable is now, out of the water. So he goes over, grabs the cable, starts hitting it with an oar. They're like, what are you doing, Chief? What are you doing, Dad? And he's hitting the oar, bang, bang, bang. And the shark comes over. He's like, oh, I like this. I'm going to come over. And he's like, come on, open up, say ah. And he leans back, and then boom, a giant explosion. And a spectacular, burning fake shark. And yet again, I felt bad for the shark. I was like, oh, the shark was just doing what the shark does. eats, swims, and makes little sharks. And you killed him. Of course, he was, terrorizing the town, but he didn't know he was terrorizing. He didn't know it was terrorizing the town. It was just, doing what it do. So they're all freaking out, and Sean's all happy. He just saw a woman, eating in front of her, but he's like, "Oh, Dad, you did it." They get in the raft and they start just, rowing back to the little island to wait for rescue. And that's where it ended. And and we get a nice sunset and all the credits. And everyone's like, "Ha ha, yeah," and they lost a few friends. They don't even know their other friend's dead. "Oh man, we're all safe. Oh, sorry that one lady died. Oh wait, also another person died. And that helicopter pilot had a family." Yeah, it was okay. But when you compare it, when you put it alongside of something so good as Jaws, that's where it's like, oh my God, this is not good. And yet, there were points where I'm going, oh my God, oh, that's dumb. Oh, that's, repetitive. Why is this happening? And then there were other points where I thought, okay, that is effective. That was, if I saw this, not even as a Jaws movie, if someone said, here's a shark movie, and there was no Jaws. A shark terrorizes a town. A cop used to deal with sharks. And he's dealt with them before. They think he's crazy. They think he's obsessed, and they terrorizes these kids. And it was on Sci-Fi, and I would have been like, wow, that was kind of an okay movie. But when you look at it, and it's just like, it felt like, what was it? Multiplicity, when you make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and it starts to degrade. I felt like they were trying to ape so many things from the original. It was just like, it just doesn't have the feel, the camaraderie that the first one had. This feeling of like, you had the terror of the beach, then you had this camaraderie. You didn't have that all that much with these teen friends. They weren't like relatable. Maybe they were to the kids in the 70s. I don't know, but it just didn't have the same oomph. And yet, when I think about, if I just were to judge, I don't even like to call them Jaws sequels. It's just, there's Jaws, and then there's these poorly made sequels. But if I were to judge just the sequels, this movie is far and away the best, not even close to the shit that I am going to have to deal with. But I'm not going to have to deal with it for a month. And I'm not going to have to deal with it for another year. Because that's it, my friends. I'm done. I'm done talking about Jaws 2. Oh, I did like where he's like, "Hey, did Matt call?" "Oh, no, I just checked, and Matt Hooper is on a vessel for 6 months and he can't be reached." "Oh, well, that's too bad." I read something where they offered the role of Hooper to this other guy. I'm like, what? Imagine if he's like, "I'll do it." And like, what that would have been just hot garbage. It was like a Swedish actor. That's what I read. That's crazy. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm done talking about Jaws 2. Imagine if I had to do this for another 30 days. I would have been like, okay, let's talk about teen number 4. Oh, he was on 8 is Enough once. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's because he was, and I looked it up. And, what was it? The one, Keith, what's his name? He was the one teenager that I'm like, oh man, he's gone on to do, a ton of things. Keith Gordon, he was in Back to School. He was in the Jaws 2, as I said. Christine, The Legend of Billie Jean. Oh, with the same, but no, it's a different director. He was in... he's been in a lot of TV shows, but he's been a director. He's been directing TV shows ever since, like big shows like Homeland, Fargo, Better Call Saul, Nurse Jackie, Dexter, The Killing, Dispatches from Elsewhere. I never watched it. Leftovers. Like, that guy has gone on to do a lot of things. He's still relevant, still going, still kicking. Not a lot of the other actors I can say that for. But like one girl, I was like, oh, she was in that movie Angel Heart. Was it called Angel Heart? Or just Angel, where she was like a young prostitute who also at night shot and killed people like it was Death Wish. Look, guys, it's been 50 minutes, and that's including, the 8 minutes that you could have fast forwarded through, except you wanted to hear the cool music. So I'm done. That's it. We did it. August 1st, 2021, the first anniversary of the real JAWGUST. I just wanted to come back and say hello and talk about Jaws 2. And we'll do it again next year. Will you be here? I'll be here. So until then, my friends, here is Happy JAWGUST, everybody. Watch the original. Just stick with the original. You can watch this once if you want to relive it, but just go back to the original. That's all that matters. Now, here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans not experts.